What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast. We're talking about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Times
What's up? What's up?
and Daniel Acevedo.
How's it going, guys?
What's going on? So, welcome to the podcast. So, Monday, Tuesday, our topics. Wednesday, discussion. Thursdays, Ask a CISSP, and then Fridays, everything else: movies, books, games, all that good stuff. So definitely continue to check us out. Then you'll get all of the above if you listen to us on the radio or on the TuneIn app on Tuesdays. So without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. This article is from Reuters.com, written by Jonathan Stemple. And the title of this one is PayPal Fined by New York for Cybersecurity Failures. So for those of you that remember PayPal had that breach, right? where all that pertinent information got out, right? Like it's people's social security numbers, names, all that good stuff. All the stuff you don't want out there, right? That can come out to haunt you later. A couple years ago, right? It was late 2022. I won't say it was like October, November, or something like that, 2022. They had that cybersecurity breach, right? So New York fined them, right? They're going to pay a civil fine, right? We're like, oh, yeah, good to hear that, right? $2 million. Wah, wah. Like that's
right?
That's not even a lot of money, right? For a big corporation like PayPal. You know what I mean? But they got a $2 million civil fine, right? For the cybersecurity failures, right? Now, what came out of it, and I hate to say it like this, like because of the cybersecurity failure, they started to get better when it came to cybersecurity, right? Which is the worst time to do it, but it's at least something. So you started getting the multi-factor authentication, right? They started being more serious about it, but yeah, PayPal wasn't something I've used for years anyway, but like I probably still had an account out there that, wasn't getting used, that might have had some pertinent information or whatever. But yeah, it was one of those things where, all right, you got to find. To me, you got to make these fines hurt, right? Like the $2 million civil fine. Okay, it's good that you took some action, but that is nothing to them, right? And maybe they didn't get fined as much because they did take the proper actions after the fact, right? But how do you deter this behavior in the future to other companies, right? Not necessarily PayPal. Other companies might be like, you know what? $2 million, that's not that big a deal, right? The precedence has already been set. If it's 2 million, 4 million, whatever, I'm still not going to invest the money it takes, to do the multi-factor authentication or whatever, which I always tell people, like, if you're signed in or if you're a part of something that doesn't have multi-factor authentication or the 2FA, like it's not worth it for you to even like continue going down that road, right? Like switch it up if it's your bank, especially if it's like your bank or something like that. That's like, hey, we don't offer. Yeah, if it's your finances, like don't even risk it. It's not worth it. But yeah, they got a $2 million fine. Like I said, caused them to beef it up, do the captures even, right? Like captures I thought have been a thing forever, but I guess they weren't doing it on PayPal before this, right? In 2022, like 2022 seems late in the game for people to not be doing captures, at least, right? Like that's the minimum you can do to make sure that somebody is, not a threat. You know what I mean? That's kind
Not a robot.
Yeah, just to make sure, right? And even with some of those, I'm like, no, I know that's a crosswalk. Like I did the block.
Yeah,
with the
like,
crosswalk.
am I a robot?
Yeah. No, I'm seeing what I see. Yeah, like the bikes and all that. I'm just like, whatever, right? Like, and I've done some where it's like they'll make you keep going through it like forever. Like, I'm trying to remember one that I did, and I had to do it like 20 times. I had to do 20 different times of going through this different thing. And I was just like, wow, like this is crazy. But I'm like, oh, that's very secure, I guess. But yeah, $2 million fine for PayPal. They drop in the bucket for them. But it should be a wake up call that I don't think it is, because the fine was so low. For these companies to get in the game, right? Like be more serious about this. Multi-factor authentication, capture. That should be the bare minimum now, right? That should not have been something that was missing in 2022, but it was. But Daniel, what's your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of took the main point I was going to say. I was going to say, like, well, you can't expect us in the year of 2005 to enforce multi-factor authentication and captcha, but I'm like, it's 2022 and then 2025. Like, the fact that these things aren't a requirement off bat, whether you're developing an application, a website, or something that has to do, especially with finances, is really alarming to me. And to have something as developed as PayPal up until 2022 that it's not enforced, and then also not secure. That's probably the thing that caught the limelight of the article, but there was probably other things as well that they uncovered along the way. It's just kind of really surprising to me. It makes me think, and I don't know off the top of my head, but I know there is the PCI, which is the payment card industry standards, and there's standards around PII, but that has to do with the government specifically. Now, private organizations like PayPal that deal with finances for individuals, and like a private company does, I don't know if there's FCC regulations or what actually regulates when you develop an application that has to deal with your social security numbers, PI, and those kind of things. I'm pretty sure there are standards, but it's confusing to me how applications and websites and things get developed in 2025 now, where these things aren't standard that have to be looked at when you're developing the application for mass release to the public. But since what really drives all that stuff always is money, right? And what private organizations are looking to is make more money, to then go public for shareholders to make even more money. I don't think there's a real incentive. And that's what we're kind of seeing here. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said, hey, if the president is $2 million, $4 million for a large organization, let's say Google and Amazon, even something like $10 million, it's like a sneeze. Like, okay, whatever. I'll just pay the 10 million if I don't have to hire more people, get qualified people, give them benefits, full-time employment. I'll just rather take the hit if it's going to be something swept under the rug, and then I can just fix it on the back end.
And that was
Were you
something
gonna
they
say something?
referenced. That was something they referenced there as well, right? Is like you got to have, better trained people. You know what I mean? Like to
Yeah.
do this type of thing. And that's just something that is missing. But yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that jumps out the most. I think the reason why these things aren't implemented is because either they don't have the personnel at the time, which kind of makes me surprised. Maybe when they launched PayPal, I could see it, but in the year 2022, I think they had more than enough personnel, expertise, and establishment to have this requirement and have it up and running, especially for a company that has been around for a long time. Especially they were one of the pioneers in kind of like you using their institution to pay money and move money around from one person to the other. It's even before crypto was around, and the whole big thing about crypto as well is like not having a bank or as an intermediary to manage money. That's why crypto is supposed to be big, right? I'm be able to send you Bitcoin without anybody else in the middle, and we control the money without a third party. So PayPal kind of like was facilitating that to a sense without actually having to use a bank. You use them, but I don't know. Long-winded way of saying that they should do better. They need to do better, and hopefully doesn't set a precedence moving forward for other large companies to take shortcuts with people's personal information.
Yeah, I agree. And it goes down to, like you said, the bottom line. So the person who's in charge of making these decisions isn't the cybersecurity individual. It's the CEO, the COO, so on and so forth, right? Maybe even the CTO, but they still don't necessarily care what the chief information security officer has to say, right? The CISO. You're starting to see a lot more of it. I almost picked a different article from Wednesday where you're starting to see more CISOs reporting directly to the CEO. Like they're still not part of the C-suite, but they have the CEO's ear more than ever. But at the end of the day, it's all about the bottom line, which is how much will this cost us? Like we built this website, let's say 2005. How much will it cost us to implement all of these measures for better security in the year of our Lord 2025, 20 years later?
Yeah,
And is it more than $2 million? Probably is, right? To find the skill and the labor and the time, because it might cost you time, right? You might have to bump people off the website for a while
downtime
to make it
or
happen.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So someone sitting there with the ability to do the business impact analysis, they have the profit and loss sheet, right? The P&L in front of them. They're like, it's worth the gamble, right? And then they hit the jackpot. In this case, it's 2 million. So maybe 2 million was more than it would have cost them to overhaul. So they lost in that regard. But for some companies, 2 million, like Shannon says, drop in the bucket. It might be worth the risk, which is a shame. But it goes down to cost center. Cybersecurity is cost center. It does not make you money unless you're in cybersecurity as your actual business, right? That's the only time you're making money off cybersecurity. So it's always going to be in the back of their minds until more regulation comes in, and we'll see how that works out. So, which uh, Chris brought to my attention was the New York's Cybersecurity Regulation 23 NYCRR Part 500. It's a 19-page document. It's pretty robust, so it's good to see that each state, it seems, is starting to build out their own cybersecurity frameworks to hold companies responsible. So hopefully this is a sign of the future, right? Some states are more robust than others, but it's good to see New York being as large as it is, with as many companies that are still embedded within it, because that's just where they decide to put their HQ, is doing something. But I think Shannon has something opposing.
It's not necessarily opposing. I don't want to say it is opposing. It is a good thing, but it shouldn't be necessary. It should be mandated for them from the federal government. Is my thinking on that,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
there should
that
be something out there.
I agree.
Yeah.
Kind of that's what I was getting. I was alluding to with like what are the regulations that actually apply to private organizations in this aspect? Only because when you're talking about people's personal information, especially their social security number, and then you tie that to finances, that's an easy mix for people to lose their identity. And losing your identity, it's so difficult and damaging for a family to
Right.
then 180 that. It takes years and years and years. I've known people where they're like even after 5 to 10 years, their life is still not the same because somebody stole their identity, and it took them so long to realize it and then get it back to where it was. So
But what about states' rights? All right, get to a political conversation. But no, I think you guys are both correct in this regard, right? Like it's just a matter of time before it does get pulled up, because there is a lot happening at the federal level when it comes to cybersecurity, like between administrations, all that stuff that's currently happening. For the most part, each administration has added significant milestones to our cybersecurity roadmap, right? So we'll see how that continues to evolve. But I do think the states need to have some skin in the game. So it is good to see that your Texases, your New Yorks, I see Colorado with some legislation, California. It's good to see that they're actually putting together some kind of framework that allows people to have a roadmap to understand until all of our companies go offshore. Then it'll be down to the federal government to regulate and make all that happen. I don't know. More to come. I think the what did we learn in this episode? Money talks. So we'll see between the fines and the people demanding better cybersecurity practices. Hopefully this continues to evolve. But hit us up by all the websites to go by our name. You give me a personally, I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. You can find me pretty much on all the platforms, but LinkedIn's where I'm most responsive. And where can they find you, Daniel?
on LinkedIn under my name, it's spelled Daniel Acevedo.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.